So where we left off in ITDS, we have player 2 dropped out as Ghost Yoda, and then we're entering the Battle of Endor as Han Hood, and we're just going to go over to Droideka. And this is a pretty long level, but luckily there is a couple of very helpful skips that are exclusive to this game that are really easy to hit. The first room of this level is pretty simple. It's going to just be a bunch of Droideka movement and triple jumps. Pretty simple stuff here, and nothing really difficult about this first room. Sometimes through transitions you want to be slashing because it's optimal for movement. You get to start moving sooner than if you just go through with Droideka. But in some sections, depending on the transition, the way that you're facing, or if there's objects close by that you would target, jump slashing isn't helpful. So this one actually takes you upward, which is not where we want to go. And then when we enter this room, our player 2 should already be Wicket, because in the last room, he's going to turn into Wicket to use the hatches. So we're just going to call in player 2 and keep him as Wicket for this next section, and then swap our player 1 to Wicket as well to break all of these objects down here. And then we're just going to build the object with player 1, push with player 1 while going up top with player 2, and then while your player 2 is just sitting there waiting for the lever, you can just be destroying stuff down here. It doesn't really make a difference. Then we're going to bring both characters as Droideka down here. And then it doesn't really matter who you leave your player 2 as when you get here. When you come down the elevator here, you can just drop out your player 2, and they're going to automatically swap to the character that's to the left of Droideka, which is totally fine. And then moving up here for this section, you can just do a double jump swap to get to Droideka, and then you can do that immediately into a triple jump to get over this barrier. And then when you do the triple jump up to the top of this barrier, you can do a Yoda jump slash off of this barrier to gain some extra movement speed, but you need to delay it, otherwise you're going to target the guys on the left, which is not optimal. So instead, if you delay it, it looks something like this. And that is a little bit faster compared to just rolling off as Droideka. Alternatively, an easier strategy if you don't want to mess with something like that is just to triple jump and then to keep going with Droideka. And then here we're going to do a triple jump up here. And this is one of the only spots in the run where, depending on which platform you're playing on, will change the strats that you do here. If you're playing on Xbox, I believe the fastest strategy is to come to the right side and do a triple jump over on the right by where 12 button skip is. And I think that's the same for PlayStation 2, and I don't exactly remember which one it is for PC. But GameCube is the only platform where there is no collision, no invisible wall above the left side second gate here. So what we can do is we can do a double jump and then a slam swap, which is almost a triple jump, but we want less height because we want to land on it perfectly. So we can do that, and then we can jump slash down, and then we can just jump over this gate, and it's it's super easy to do. And then the strategy that's used in the Complete Saga free play also works here, where if you wanted to, you could triple jump from the gate up to this side and then triple jump over. That will work for any platform. And then we're just going to move along, and when we get to this point, we're going to do a jump slash into the transition so that we can be Yoda slashing coming out of the transition. That's going to happen in a number of rooms throughout this run, and it's just a little thing that's really easy to do. Just a jump slash, and then just spamming and swapping back to Droideka. And then up here, you have a couple of options. If you want, you could do a triple jump off of this flower, which gets you up top. You can also just switch to Wicket to shoot the barrier. It is faster slightly to just do this triple jump, but just slightly. It really doesn't make a difference. And you can also get a slash off there, so if you do that, it is definitely faster to do the triple jump compared to destroying the first barrier. And then we're just going to move forward. And when we get to this section here, we are going to use Wicket to destroy this next barrier. And so the way that I like to do it, because Wicket, it's quicker to get to him switching left than it is switching right by just a couple of characters. So when I get to this tree branch, I like to swap left to whoever my blaster character is and jump over this branch and then swap to Wicket and swap back to Droidica. And then here, just simple movement, we're going to do a jump slash up to this ledge. Super easy. You could single jump it as well, but just given the height that you get, the jump slash is definitely faster. And then up here we have bunker clip, which is really simple to do in this game. So all we're going to do is we're going to slash with Yoda, and then in the middle of our slash we're going to swap to Droidica, and Droidica's hitbox is going to push us out of bounds to the right, and then we're going to come in and hit the door transition from the side here. And the problem that we can run into is that if we go too far forward, then we end up behind the door, and so then when we try to hit it, we end up reloading this room. So I'll show you what that looks like first. So just by clipping out with a slash and swap to Droidica, and then I like to swap to my blaster character, just because they're quick movement. So if we happen to be too high up, we end up just reloading this room, which doesn't lose that much time because you're right here and can just try again, but it is something that you shouldn't really be missing after you practice it a few times. So jump slashing back out and swapping to our blaster character. We really just want to be in line with the door here, and then once we're far enough left, if we just hold up left, we're just going to hit the transition. So I'll show you it in just kind of one fluid motion if we're coming from the side here. And that was a pretty quick rendition of doing it, but the trick is easy enough that once you get comfortable with it, you should be doing it that fast. And it's also good to note here that if you get lucky enough to get one of the Han variants as your blaster character, then you should be jump rolling as you go through the door, just because it's a little bit faster for your movement speed. And then entering the bunker, we're going to start by animation canceling this first door, which is really easy to do, only takes a few shots. And then as we roll into this first room here, we don't need to kill any of the enemies, we're just going to kind of roll past them. And the line that we're going to take is directly to the green and yellow, I guess the barriers that are keeping the ending locked away. We're going to head directly towards that. And the movement that I like to do for this is I like to do a single jump over this barrier and then go into a double jump to do a triple jump. So what that looks like is just coming to the side here and then jump. I messed that up. Coming to the side here and then jump, jump, triple jump up to here. And we want to get up here because we're going to do a Yoda clip here in order to skip everything in the bunker. So then by swapping back to Yoda, we're going to do a double jump slam and then swap to Droidica to the left in order to clip out and end the level. Now, you notice there that I ended up swapping to Han. The reason for that, and this will come up a couple of times in the run, if you are ever trying to do a Yoda clip that involves pushing you into out-of-bounds collision, if Droidica is too big to fit in that collision, then you'll just swap to the next available character that can fit in the collision. So, like, when we look at Jundland later in the run, there's a clip that we do where we do a Yoda slash and then a swap to Droidica, but we end up swapping all the way to R2-D2 because he's the next available hitbox that can fit in that space. So it ends up skipping 3 characters in that section, and that's something that we have to account for. And then the only other thing to note, which you saw me do, is when we do the slam into the ceiling, we also need to hold up left. There are pits down there that you can take a death on if you aren't holding the proper direction. So the flow of it looks like this. And even that there, you notice that I didn't have my lightsaber pulled out. That's something else that can happen. Just one of the quirks of this game. But most of the time, you'll be fine. It's a really easy clip to hit. And then, You're just going to build these first two with Han, which is who you land on this ground with Han. Build the first two, and then Droideka roll, and then you can end the level with Ghost Yoda on player 1, and Han Solo, or whoever your player 2 is, whoever they automatically became, is totally fine. It really doesn't make a difference, since going into this next level, we need Droideka and Emperor, so neither of our characters are going to be correct going into the level. So when you get into this cantina, the movement into the next level is pretty straightforward. You're just going to do some double jumps with Ghost Yoda. Just a single double jump is fine because you can clear a pretty far distance. And then you're going to jump slash into the level. And then just at some point in the cantina, you need to make sure to call in your player 2, because you'll need to manage both of these characters heading into this level. And then we'll head into Speeder Showdown.